Does it say anything bad about it?
Just says that super straight, also known as SS.
Oh, for fuck's sakes. Yep, there it is. There it is. Hi, my name is Aaron. This is my show, Reeducation, and today we're going to talk a little bit about NoFap and super straight, and how it is essentially, not just essentially, how it is entirely just a right-wing, fascist, neo-Nazi dog whistle. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So, the culture war. Pretty much all of us have had to deal with this non-stop, consistently for the last several months, ever since Donald Trump left the White House. The culture war has been so ramped up lately that it's basically all-encompassing. Everywhere you turn, somebody's talking about how Pepe Le Pew is now canceled, or how white heteroculture is being destroyed by the gay agenda, and it's honestly ridiculous, and in a vacuum would be hilarious if it didn't have so many real-world deadly effects. So, we're going to talk a little bit about it today, because we can't escape it. So in this part of the culture war, we're going to be focusing on NoFap and super straight. Two ideologies, ideas, I guess, that are essentially just Nazi dog whistles, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. Super straight, or SS, is essentially a meme, and since it is a meme, I'm going to read about it on knowyourmeme.com. It says, super straight is an internet term that refers to people who are attracted only to people of the opposite sex and don't take someone's gender into account. The term originated on TikTok on February 21st in a video entitled, "Who Else is Super Straight?", where the presenter explained that he had been called transphobic for refusing to date trans women and being attracted only to women who are born women. So now he made up a new sexuality called super straight. In the following days, the term started spreading on other platforms like Reddit or YouTube. On March 1st, Super Straight subreddit was launched, quickly gaining more than 7,000 members, and on March 6th, a Twitter user named SupaStraight made a post about the sexuality, explaining the term, and claiming super straights are now part of the LGBTQ community. After this, the super straight hashtag started gaining more attention. Now, obviously, this has created all kinds of controversy in the trans community, and the right wing is absolutely lapping it up. They've been using super straight pretty much non-stop for the last few days. Now, when we boil it down, super straight is essentially nothing more than transphobia, heteronormativity, and the traditional family masquerading as a gender or sexual preference, which it's not. That seems fairly innocuous on its face, but underneath it conceals a whole lot of ideology, propaganda, and white nationalist talking points. Super straight is essentially the idea of excluding trans people altogether and returning back to a normalcy of the nuclear family, the traditional family as they like to call it. And the traditional family is often used as a buzzword by reactionary evangelicals and fascists and neo-Nazis, so they can push the agenda of a chauvinistic patriarchal hierarchy. Now, you might think that's a bit of a stretch, but before you make any judgments on that, let's talk a little bit about the other major controversy in the culture war right now, which is NoFap. NoFap is essentially the idea that if you stop masturbating, you can completely change your life and become positive, motivated, awesome, and basically turn into a super Chad. People that believe in NoFap think that masturbation, and in fact the porn industry in of itself, is inherently degrading and destroying Western civilization. More buzzwords. And because of that, it both at once destroys the male libido by making them not want to chase after women, but also at the same time makes men uncontrollably horny and sexualized, so they go after several different partners at once. Or worse, they become homosexuals or deviants and start having sex with people of the same gender, or shock of all shock, transgendered people. All of which they consider to be degeneracy and destroying Western civilization, and the traditional family. Now, some of you might be saying that you don't believe that this has any ties to Nazi ideology at all, and it's just something that a lot of people want to do to promote good health and wellness, and let's watch a clip of an actual neo-Nazi talking about how it's all orchestrated by the Jews.
But who is running the porn industry? Who is behind the pushing of this filth? Now, I'm not going to claim that all Jews are involved in this, that Jews do play a disproportionate role in the porn industry. Others who have written on the subject seem to agree that Jewish involvement in the porn industry was driven by an underlying hatred of white Christian society, and even out of a feeling of superiority and fantasy of degrading Western females. In many cases, pornography is anti-white hatred, because what better way to attack white society and morality than to show fresh-faced young European girls being sexually dominated and sodomized by African males? And crucially, they are doing it because porn is an attack on our family-friendly and moral culture. But there is an antidote to porn and the sexualization that surrounds us. And again, it is traditionalism and the moral values that stood us in good stead for thousands of years. We must embrace the family, and with it, the family values that helped build our great and illustrious civilization.
Essentially, what NoFap and Super Straight are trying to do is normalize or memify the idea of returning back to a traditional family, even though the idea of a traditional family is entirely false. All throughout history, the majority of culture has actually trended towards different versions of polyamory and polygamy, rather than full-on monogamy within the human species. In fact, according to some research, 83% of indigenous cultures existed in some form of polygamy or polyamory before the introduction of Western imperialism. White nationalists literally see websites like Blacked.com as an existential threat to their existence. They see consensual sex between two parties that happen to have different colored skin as such an affront to their whole world that they believe that it's actually a literal genocide on their culture. Sexual monogamy in the West was only really a thing for the last 1,000 years. Before that, sexual polygamy was practiced in various different forms all throughout human culture. Obviously, there is a precedent of having a certain amount of the traditional family where there's a father, a mother able to work together to raise kids, because it's not easy for a single mother to raise children on their own, but it hasn't always just been the father, or even the mother for that matter, that took on that role. History proves that a village raises a child, and even in many cultures today, the grandparents or neighbors or community members or extended family will all work together to raise children. Of course, it's found in science that human beings do come together in a semi-monogamous way for extended amounts of time to raise children, but they also don't do that. They can have many different sexual partners, and nothing says that they have to specifically be heterosexual or heteronormative or cisgender partners at all. It can be whatever you want. It's a big grab bag of anything that you really like. But white nationalists and race realists and fascists, neo-Nazis, don't like that. They in fact hate it, and they want to make sure that your freedom to choose what partner you want to be with is stifled or removed entirely. They want you to have nothing but a traditional family. They want every drop of sperm to be used to produce a fucking baby. And even if the majority of people who believe in NoFap or Super Straight aren't neo-Nazis or fascists or right-wingers or any of that, it still ties with their ideology. It's still just a big dog whistle, a big net that they're using to catch all of the normies they can and bring them towards fascist ideas. Young white men who are isolated and disaffected and probably can't afford to pay their rent look at a lot of these ideas as actually explaining their plight, explaining why the world is the way that it is and how they can actually work to fight to change things. And in our modern day, all of this is sort of set up in a post-ironic sort of way. Everything is half joking, fully earnest. That's why when the fascists came up with the OK symbol, featured right here with a bunch of Proud Boys, who apparently claim that they are not neo-Nazis and fascists, holding up the OK symbol along with Nazi salutes in front of a Nazi flag, proving that it is in fact a Nazi dog whistle and always has been. Again, it's the same thing with this NoFap and super straight. It's just another way for the right wing to grift and manipulate the masses into believing their tormented, destructive, and disturbing ideas. Man, this video was not how I expected it to turn out. It turned out to be a little bit more dreary and dreadful than I wanted. But anyway, that's the way I look at it. If you do get a chance, check out all the links in the description box below. Thank you very much for watching.